Welcome to the Whiskey Vault.
I'm Daniel.
I am the Rex.
That's right.
They've all decided.
Yeah.
There's a handful of us around the world. And I am the one.
The one and only Rex.
Well, the main, really. Alright.
So this is Dalmore and a gift from Colin Baker.
Colin Baker, you magnificent bastard. Now, I know we've done the Dalmore before.
We've not done this Dalmore.
What is this Dalmore?
This Dalmore,
The Dalmore
is the Luceo.
Okay. I haven't heard of the Luceo.
That's because
I'm
it is
suspicious of your pronunciation because this is very important to me.
it's a travel retail exclusive.
Oh, like a duty-free type of
Yes.
deal? Okay. Okay.
And so we're gonna have a few more tomorrow.
Yeah.
But this is one of their series of only available at retail blends created by, I'm assuming,
Sure.
Sir Patterson.
Now, do you know anything about how the whole duty-free whiskey situation came to be? Because there's several bottlings from big brands that only exist
In duty-free.
In duty-free.
Well, the idea,
Why?
I don't know who invented it.
Okay.
But the idea is, hey, can you bypass taxes because you're a traveler, you're not a local. If you're local, you pay the taxes. If you're a tourist,
Right.
you can avoid the taxes.
Sure.
Because your home country
Right.
doesn't have those taxes.
Yeah, how does the whiskey...
And so the idea is if you're traveling through the airport, obviously you have access, and only internationally you have access to, duty-free
Right.
products.
Sure. Okay, but we don't know.
No taxes. We don't know who
We
started.
don't know at what point distilleries decided, well, I'm going to set aside these bottles in this
Just for
special
travelers.
release just to put it in a duty-free shop. All right, yeah, I'd be curious to know if anybody knows. Let us know.
So this is
Oh, this is
a whole bunch of different sherry cask Dalmores all blended together.
this is a little bit different character.
Well,
than-
then they finished it
okay.
in Apostolis sherry casks, which is a Palo Cortado sherry, which is halfway between...
Half the words you said are English.
It starts as the floor-topped sherries, like your Amontillados and your Finos,
Yeah.
and then the floor dies, and it switches to aging more like a Oloroso. So it's still a sweeter sherry, but that was the finishing marrying cask.
Okay.
And you won't know anything I'm talking about, but the people who know sherry know what I'm talking about.
All right. All 7. So I'm still.
It
on
just
the
smells
nose.
like a classic Dalmore.
I'm not getting less. I'm getting less of the Christmas vibe on the nose than I was expecting. I am getting dark fruit.
Yeah, it's very, like, all the dark plum, fig, dark, rich sherry notes are strong in the nose. It's proofed down
And look at the color on that.
40%. Well, remember, Dalmore uses food coloring.
I'm saying it was a joke.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
No one's going to get your subtlety on that one.
I'm
Rex.
saying the thing. But I was saying, look at the color on that E150. But your voice.
Oh, I covered
because
up
your normal
E150.
volume is right here.
Yeah.
That's the tone.
That is not my
and
normal
volume of
volume.
your regular speaking voice, right at this level. That nobody picked up on the final end of my statement. For E150.
E150.
Because you were like this. It is. Hold on, because I edit the tribe videos.
Yeah.
And what's really funny is you can look at the waveform, right? The audio waveform.
Yeah.
And the microphone is always, it's not right down the middle, it's always cheated towards me. And still, every time Daniel's talking, the waveform will be like that big. And then when I'm talking, and the microphone's aimed at me, it'll be half the size.
Dude, that's a lifetime of stage performing.
All right.
And projecting.
Yeah, it's a lifetime of dark rooms staring at screens.
I'm surprised you don't speak only in whispers.
Right. I learned sign language a long time ago.
So the palate still has this kind of nutty walnut thing that I always...
Okay, on the taste I'm getting...
Only on the taste. It's not on the nose.
I'm getting more of what I remember Dalmore being on the taste.
Yes. Yeah, it's that waxy, dry...
Yeah. It's just... Oh, here's... The Dalmore...
It's good.
It's beautiful, lovely flavors. They're rich, saturated flavors, but it's always a little bit lower proof than I would want. It's 40%, but the amount of flavor you get out of that 40%...
It's
yeah,
great.
that's a very, very impressive amount of flavor out of a low-proof whiskey, but I would love some cask strength Dalmore. That would be amazing.
All right, this is from Nathan Huey, Titan.
Nathan, here we go.
placeholder graphic. Oh yeah.
Placeholder. Okay.
Nathan said-
So we'll get a real thing coming.
So remember, Nathan is a whiskey somm.
Yeah. Okay.
He said, I brought a bottle of this with me to somm school, but we enjoyed it a little too much and drained it before it made it to the vault. So I'm sending you a new bottle.
Fair enough. Mannochmore?
That's pretty gracious.
Mannochmore.
Mannochmore.
The woodpecker flits into the shafts of clear sunlight.
This is a 25-year-old single malt.
Okay.
One of 3,954 bottles.
Wow.
Released at natural cask strength.
Wow.
Distilled in 1990. What were you doing in 1990?
I was being mostly 9 for most of that year, and then 10 by the end of the year.
I was in junior high.
Yeah. I'm a young buck. Hip and with it. As the kids say. Hip and
So,
with
When I was in junior high, acting in the junior high play as the villain, I always tried out for the villain.
You know
parts.
why?
Always.
because you sound like this.
I didn't when I was 12.
You came out. Your first words were, "Mama, give me a light." Oh.
Ooh, I like that.
I infuriated my 13-year-old son. It was beautiful. It was amazing. Because I spent like the entire afternoon, every opportunity, saying hip and with it.
I am hip
And
and
then just
with it.
peppered throughout random conversations. I was like, Dad, what do you think about this show? Oh, I like the show. I like the host is really good. And then the entire premise is hip and with it. so by like the 30th time, he wanted to play, was it charade? Not charades, Pictionary.
Picture. Oh, really?
We make up our own Pictionary, right?
Nice.
We don't have cards. We just like think of something and then we draw it.
Okay.
So I was doing Pictionary. I drew a guy, right, just standing there, and then an arrow pointing right here, and he's looking at it. He's looking at it, and he goes, hip and with it.
That's awesome. I like this. So this is a lot of first fill bourbon, which ex-bourbon cask,
Yeah.
and then sherry, European oak. Mm-hmm. This is a Speyside distillery.
I'm getting almost a bourbon vibe on the nose with this honey and apple character. Almost, right? It's still Speyside, but
Diageo uses the warehouse for Mannochmore to age other people's whiskey as well.
Okay.
So they store barrels for a bunch of different distilleries.
oh, you see what I mean by
Yeah.
The nose is almost a bourbon. Little head fake in that
Yeah, that's
direction.
just weird, dense corn syrup sweetness to it.
Yeah, like you got the honey and you got the apple that you often find in bourbon.
Not the cherry, so it's away from the cherry classic bourbon
Yeah.
note, but it's not got the wood spice.
And you do get a little bit of that grain in there too, like the dustiness.
Now this was for a long time managed by John Haig and company, and this whiskey went into all the Haig blends.
Mm-hmm.
Dude.
Rosewater and honey.
And then
Floral?
like woody leather.
Well, I'm getting the
Not
oak.
fresh leather.
I'm getting the oak. You talking about the worn, like a
Yeah, I'm talking about the
leather?
worn, old, oiled,
See?
nice.
You're dialed into like a worn leather note today. You mentioned this in a couple because we batch shoot.
Yeah, today it's just really.
And I'm not picking up on any of the leather stuff. I'm picking up
Only in the palate, not in the
more-
nose.
More of the sweeter end of the spectrum.
Oh, that's
You know
really
what?
good.
You know, here's the thing. This is 25 years old. I'm sure.
Yeah, and who knows how
I'm sure
old
it's
the-
very hard to find.
Yeah.
But if it was very readily available, I would say a bourbon drinker who wants to figure out a gateway.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
I
So
agree.
Go buy a 25-year-old
for a
Impossible.
bourbon. Yeah, for a burban drinker who wants to intro into whiskey.
Right.
Go ahead and buy a totally unavailable, shockingly probably expensive Scotch.
Yeah.
All right, we got any more comments before we call this one?
And then like a walnut in there. Beautiful. Mike, the print on this is bad. Bertesian. Mike B. So you accidentally summoned Satan, and he demands 1 dram, and he has to like it, or else you'll be cast into the abyss. What do you offer him? So Satan shows up.
Do you go for something pretty or aggressive? Because the thing is, if you go for something aggressive, that's playing to type.
Right.
Or maybe he would appreciate something pretty,
Right.
being Satan.
Now, being Satan, what was your answer?
I'm just gonna go with Longmore and 16.
Right. You know what I'd be?
Subtlety and nuance.
You know what I'd do?
Huh.
I'd say, Satan, go f*** yourself.
and then you'd be like, and it's not that hard. You're done.
Christian. Oh, this is Finois. Finiukes. So, fellow MPs, I came across something really peculiar. In some whiskey circles, there seems to be something I'd call anti-cask strength snobbery going on. Wow.
I experienced it actually this week.
I got called out after people saying that I prefer a lot of cask strength whiskey neat, especially some higher proof bourbons. People told me I was doing it wrong, and you ought to bring down the ABV to at least 45, 46% ABV. But seriously, has anyone else come across something like this? Look, in whiskey,
there's always
in
people
all
pick their
hobbies,
sides.
in all hobbies, there's going to be little circles that turn into echo chambers, and they convince themselves this is the right way to do it. And anybody not doing it this way is obviously uneducated and ignorant, and they don't know that. Forget about it. Don't worry about it. You're good. You're good. You just enjoy it your way, and
the irony is, I hit this with a rep this week.
Yeah.
Right? And I find it's more common in Scotch than in bourbon.
Well,
in bourbon, there's a prized cask strength kind of community. And but in Scotch, there's this idea that you haven't experienced the whiskey until you've opened it up with water. Right?
Sure.
Which I understand, but that's true. That's a true
you haven't experienced whiskey that way.
Right. That's
there's
true.
many ways
You
to
haven't
experience it.
explored a whiskey if you've not tried water as well.
Sure, water
now,
and ice and
that
any number of
crosses the line into you should only drink water after opening it with whiskey.
Right.
And anybody who doesn't do that doesn't know what they're doing. And the only thing I say to those people is, you realize that they add water before they bottle, right? So they already did that. And they proofed it to a level where they thought it was most enjoyable.
Right.
So yes, I still add water to my whiskey, but I also give it a first shot at seeing what the distiller wanted to present.
Look, I think it comes down to this. Whenever somebody gets really into a hobby, they want to be the best and most knowledgeable and figure out how to experience that hobby to the fullest, extent they could possibly experience.
Right.
And that comes down to a lot of people who see the world as black and white. It's like, well, this is obviously what this group of people say, and I agree with that in theory, and I've experienced it, and yes, it was quite good.
It's no different
they are
than
the
religion.
right ones. They are the right ones. So people can back themselves into a corner of belief. But
Yeah.
really, here's the thing, people. It's a f***ing beverage.
Yeah.
Right?
But it can become like the religion of whiskey.
It can. And
Yeah.
so, again, rule number one in the whiskey community, the whiskey tribe, the best whiskey is the whiskey you like to drink.
Oh man, the way that you like to drink it. And here's what you need to do is set down that wonderfully beautiful Mannochmore, pick up the Dalmore, and look at the nose on the Dalmore just came alive.
Wow.
Right?
You know what? It's almost the Kavalan.
Kavalan, the correct pronunciation of the Taiwanese distillery.
Not Kavalan. They don't know what they're talking about. It's that autumn. Yeah, no,
the Dalmore's
AB,
back.
The Dalmore is coming out with this heft, this dense walnut.
It wasn't there when we first started
This
it.
super saturated, almost like the dried leaves.
I love it.
And then like the thick sugars. Here's to fighting, stealing, and drinking.
If you fight me, you fight for a friend.
Steal me, you steal a lover's heart.
And if you drink, may you drink with us.
Hey, thanks for hanging out with us in the Whiskey Vault. Don't forget to throw in a like, hit that subscribe button on the bottom right, and drop a question or comment down below.